Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest will be starring as the legendary pop icon Sam Cooke in the upcoming show, The Music of Sam Cooke, A Change Gonna Come tour. Please help me welcome the talented, multi-award winning singer-songwriting writer, Bradd Marquis. Welcome to the show.
Yo, good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
First of all, listen, you're my first interview of 2023, so I know they said you're supposed to stop saying Happy New Year, but I'm with you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
When do you stop saying Happy New Year? If it's the first time I see you, and
that's what I'm saying, right?
It's a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You know, I always say at least MLK Day or maybe in January, but people said, we asked the question of the day on our show, on our page, and they said the second you're supposed to stop saying it on the second.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with
that. If it's June and it's the first time I've talked to you, it's Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Well, listen, tell us a little before we get into the show, The Music of Sam Cooke, A Change Gonna Come. Tell us about you. I know you are a singer, songwriter, actor, producer. You do it all. How did you get your start, and how did you know music is what you wanted to pursue?
Wowzers. I got my start like a lot of soul singers did in the church. Mm-hmm. I was in the children's choir at the age of 4, and I sang in there, had my little solos, this, that, and the other, till I was about 12 years old. Mm-hmm. I'd sing it as just what I did. I sang everything. I sang commercials. I sang, singing, the intros to cartoons was my thing. DuckTales and all that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then after, I went to, high school, and I did what most teenagers do. It was all about sports and all about, trying to make it to the NBA and all of that. Of course. When I got to college, I stumbled into a few talent shows, and I won a few of them. And folks just started, around the city, just started recruiting me. Mm-hmm. And wanted me to come to, and that's when I started really getting heavy into writing and learning the business of music, learning how to write songs, learning how to produce songs, learning how to perform. And, that's kind of, early college days is when I just got my intro to it all. And I just caught the bug and been running with it ever since.
Absolutely. And I know you've released several projects. Your most recent project we'll talk about in a second, but a lot of people, when they describe your voice, they say that you have that 90s R&B male singer, but of course it's modernized. So who were some of the influence that you had that you listened to when you were coming up?
Oh goodness. Like I said, I came in one of those houses that played the radio all day long. Yeah. I mean, the radio just was never off, So I listened to everything. It was gospel, it was R&B, it was soul, it was rock, pop, it doesn't matter. It was everything that played on the radio. So, instinctively I was influenced by a lot of different things, but when I became aware, it was, a lot of the music my mom listened to. So it was Freddie Jackson and Luther Vandross and Howard Hewitt and Glenn Jones and that whole, Teddy, not Teddy, well, a little bit of Teddy, not a lot, but Gerald Levert, like, that age. And then Jodeci popped off. That's what caught my ear. Okay. It was nice, all the other stuff was cute and nice. But when Jodeci hit, that's when I was like, oh, this is my thing. This is me.
Yep. That was you. And where are you from?
Jersey.
Jersey. Okay. Yeah, I knew I heard that voice. My dad's from Jersey, so I have a lot of family in Jersey. But so how did growing up in Jersey, how did that influence your sound as well, outside of the musical influence you had?
I mean, the only thing I can say about, my musical influence in Jersey is the fact that my whole family sang. Okay. My grandma had 10 kids and they all sang. So
big family. Yeah.
Yeah, huge family. I mean, and she was one of 6 and her siblings had 5 to 10. So we multiplied, man. But like my favorite singers growing up were my aunts and uncles. And they took me, I love listening to them sing in church, and they took me everywhere they went. They allowed me to tag along, and they had some amazing friends who went on to do some extraordinary things, and I got to meet them, and kind of groomed me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I said you had several projects. Your latest EP was it's titled Love, with the lead single No War. And I read that you said that this project was so relevant to today. Explain that for us.
That project was released in 2020, actually. The top of 2020. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was the first quarter of 2020. And it was at the time where the world shut down, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I put out No War prior to the world shutting down. Wow. No War was kind of my response to the, all the craziness I was seeing in the media.
Right.
And it was kind of my call for peace. Like, yo, let's chill out. This is because we head down the wrong road, and COVID hit and everything shut down. And all I saw on television, social media everywhere was just a gumbo, a snowball of negativity.
Right.
The music industry stopped, the movie industry, everything stopped. And the only thing we had was, the little connections we could make amongst ourselves via social media, and I noticed everybody was just freezing on, putting out any music, right. and the beauty of having the internet is you can distribute it yourself. Exactly. You don't need to put out, you don't need a record label or anything like that to put out music anymore.
Right.
Right. So I was like, I know a lot of my artist friends, when I talked to them, they didn't know what direction to take, because they didn't want to put out music and didn't have the ability to promote it or get out and perform and do those things to capitalize on actually having a record out. Right. So they just tabled whatever they were doing. And I was like, I thought that was the exact opposite of what we needed to do at that time. At that time, with George Floyd and all those things that was happening, we needed to put out, artists needed to put out more music and put out more positive energy out there to shift the paradigm that was happening at that time, or at least counteract the paradigm that was happening at that time. So this Love project was my contribution to just trying to shift that paradigm and, give people something positive to ingest, to take in. And, I just didn't, I just want to do my little part in trying to, move the meter forward in a positive way. It wasn't about, making any money or getting on the road and gigging it. Like, I still haven't performed a lot of the records that's on, that album, live anyway. Exactly. But it wasn't about that. It was just like, look, man, folks need something to, positive to hold on to right now, because we all cooped up in the crib and don't know when we're coming out. You know what I mean? Everybody is doom and gloom and the world's coming to an end kind of thing. And I was like, nah, this ain't it. God ain't telling me this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting because I was talking to someone earlier today, and I was talking about just when I think back to 2020, that time when we were all on lockdown, and like you said, artists weren't really performing, releasing music. I actually interviewed a lot of artists in that time because everybody was at home. They weren't touring and those kind of things. What was your takeaway as the world started to open back up? And now, although COVID's still there, but we know we've learned how to live through it. What was your takeaway coming back into everyday life?
Initially, I was real hesitant. Yeah. Initially, folks had to fight to get me out. I was not trying to, I wasn't trying to run back out there. I was like, nah, y'all go ahead. I'll see how y'all react to it, and then I'll come through. But I mean, that's kind of what my thing was, and then I just eased my way back into it slowly but surely. But I think what expedited it is that I still had tour dates. I still had performance dates. There was a lot of, mostly, I don't know, a lot of people who was out there still gigging, but my gigs was still there. Yeah. And folks still wanted to bring me in to perform. And like I said, that's only God, because I know, he kept myself and my whole team safe through the whole process. Nobody got sick. And we went through the height of Omicron, when that, everybody was catching Omicron. And, you know, my team, we were able to get through a couple of tours, you know, and nobody got sick.
Yeah.
You know, and folks showed up, masked up, they came out, you know, and we had good crowds and all of that. So it was, for me, it was, you know, amazing. You know, it didn't hurt that a lot of my gigs was in those states that wasn't about that COVID life.
Exactly. They won't play.
It was, you know, them Texas and Florida, they was like, nah, we showing up.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna show up.
They're gonna show up.
Atlanta, they would have too. Atlanta would have too.
Man, I remember going to Florida and we got in our car picked us up, our driver picked us up, and he ain't have a mask on. He looked at us like, oh, y'all can take your mask off. We don't even do that down here. Yeah. And we looking, I'm like, bro, you know how many people I know died from this? Are you serious?
Right. Right. No, I remember I went to Florida in the 2020, and you know, we were all masked up, and they were looking at us like, what's wrong with them? Why they got that mask on?
Why you got your mask on? Like, are you serious, bro? Yeah. Like, because I don't trust you. That's why.
Right. Exactly. Well, let's talk about Sam Cooke. You know, you have been covering his music for a while now, and you know, he is someone that I've always loved. You know, I've seen documentaries on his life, and you know, we all know A Change Gonna Come. His classic, his biggest hit, I believe. Right. What was it about him that attracted you to his music and to his life story?
It's funny. I always say he found me, or it found me. You know, because I wasn't looking for Sam Cooke, or I wasn't looking to do anything like that.
Yeah.
I was, you know, the story goes, I was coming off of a residency, acting residency, and I didn't want to stand in line and wait for the next gig, you know, and I decided to create one. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, and a friend gave me a book called Dream Boogie, the autobiography of Sam Cooke, and I read it a couple times, front to back. It ain't a small book. And you know, and I just saw so much of myself in it, you know, who I was at that time and where I wanted to go. And a lot of the roads that he traveled was very identical to where I was or where I wanted to go. And so I just decided to immerse myself in all things Sam Cooke for a few months. It was about 3 months that I was just every day, all day Sam Cooke. And in the process, I realized, like I said before, I knew a lot of the music because my grandparents were playing it in the house all day long.
Yeah.
You know, so it just organically clicked, and off we went. I did my first show in what was like 2009, and we've been doing it ever since. And it's just grown and grown and evolved, and here we are. And you know, we're still blessed to be able to do it, and it's still growing. And now people are really wanting to hear it and bring me out to, you know, their theaters and all that stuff. So
absolutely. I was looking at some of the clips on your website, and yeah, I definitely see it. You definitely see, you have the voice, you even have the look. You have the look, like on your website, there's a picture of him, and then you're in the front, and you can kind of see the resemblance, you know, in you and him. So let's talk about the music of Sam Cooke. A Change Is Gonna Come tour, and so it kicks off January 20th.
Yes.
In Richardson, Texas.
Yes.
And I know you've been doing the show for a while, but what's different about this one? What can we expect in this show?
Well, first and foremost is way more people. You know, it used to, you know, the show used to be you know, 4-piece and me.
Okay.
You know, now it's 10 of us up there.
Okay.
You know, and it used to be just me singing his music for an hour. Now it's a 2-hour show.
Okay.
You know, it's a 2-hour show where, you know, it's not just singing the music, but it's the look. Everybody looks like they're from the 1950s, you know, late 50s, early 60s. You know, all the ambiance, you know, suggests we're in that time. When those doors close, you feel like you're in the late 50s, early 60s. You know, and you know, we try and use all the imagery we can to set you in that time frame. The storytelling sets you in that time frame. I don't just sing his songs. I really tell his story, and not even just his story, but the story of that era. You know, and a lot of things that was happening in that era, and how that influenced the person and artist he became. You know, so it's not just simple to tell his story. Oh, he did this and he did this and he did that. No, there were circumstances that surrounded his life that allowed him to become the human being that he became. You know, and make the transitions from gospel to pop to, you know, to soul music to secular. I mean, not secular, but to activism. I'm sorry.
Right, activism. Yeah,
activism. So because he went through in his 33 years, he transitioned a lot. And he did a lot in those 33 years that we still see the imprint of to this day.
Exactly.
From your Motowns to your Bad Boys and Rockefellers and all of these, entrepreneurial record labels that were able to blossom. He set the template for that.
Yeah. It was interesting. I was doing my first interview of 2023, and I said I'm interviewing this guy who he's taking pretty much Sam Cooke's music on the road. And I was talking to a friend of mine and this other guy he's a white guy who I wouldn't even think he would know Sam Cooke. He's a young guy. He said, "Oh, Sam Cooke, the one from back in the day." Like, he was engaged. I was like, "Oh, you know who Sam Cooke is?" I just didn't think he would know who he was. And it just shows the kind of artist he was, that a lot of people know his music to today.
To this day, and it's so funny. Like, you said, young white guy. My dude, you come to my shows, it's 80% white.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I love it. Normally it's the older generation, but as the show has started to evolve and as we've been able to promote it more, I'm starting to see everybody in there.
Yeah.
So, white, black, brown, all ages. And, we get 3-4 different generations of people in there. Yeah. Great grandma, grandma, the mom and dad, and then their kids.
Right.
And they all come to share together.
Right.
And they leave together with a shared experience that they can talk about. And they may not be able to, experience a lot together, being the age differences, maybe sports or something like that they're able to have a shared, conversation about. But they come to this show and they leave and they have something else that they can, have dialogue over the dinner table about, and that's, very fulfilling for me.
Yeah. So how have you prepared? I know, again, the first show kicks off. By the time this airs, it'll be 3 days after your first show. This will air on 23rd. Your first show's on the 20th. How are you preparing, or what's going through your mind? What's your mental right now as you prepare to hit the road again with this show?
Dude, it is absolutely, positively overwhelming.
I can imagine.
It is absolutely. This is my first time taking out 10 people, 11 people actually, because I had to hire somebody to help drive us around on the show. Exactly. Because I'm like, we can't do this. We're gonna need sleep at some point. Like, we can't be out here wearing all the hats. You know what I mean? So to alleviate a lot of that, transportation kind of vibe, I had to hire somebody to help out with that stuff. But this is my first time, really doing a tour of this magnitude, and so it's been absolutely overwhelming. And just, my email is just off the hook. My phone is off the hook, everything from production questions to media, doing a press run to, just dealing with all the, travel and booking hotels. Just it's all the different dynamics, trying to get everybody this drop or that drop or this image or that, like, it's just every minute, all day long. So it's been overwhelming, and then just trying to live a regular life.
Your regular life, exactly.
That doesn't stop. It has the same requirements.
Absolutely.
So it's been overwhelming, but I came into 2023 with the mindset of greatness is going to be hard.
Yeah. So
I am not going to complain about the work that I have to do. I'm just going to do it.
Absolutely.
So it's not about getting frustrated that this is happening or this person didn't do what I asked them to do, or I gotta do it, repeat myself 100 times or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm expecting this to not be comfortable and to be a little difficult, so I don't get upset at the difficulties. You know what I mean? It's just handle it.
And after you start doing more shows, it'll be more seamless. I'm sure
that's the easy part. Once we on the road, once we go, we're pretty good. It'll be some things here and there we're gonna have to pick up and da da da. It's never 100% all the time. Yeah. But just getting to that starting line, this is the pre. Right. Once then we get to the starting line, and we go. So just getting there, it's just been a lot of work, but I've learned over 2022, my biggest takeaway from 2022 was trusting your team, trusting my team, and allowing them to do their jobs.
Right.
And not micromanage or try and, hold on to every little thing, but have an expectation of excellence for them and allow them to live up to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a key that all bosses need to take with them, for sure. So at the end of the show, what do you want the viewer or the audience to walk away with? What do you want them to have with them, take away with them?
I hope they walk away with inspiration. I hope they walk away with a sense of camaraderie and appreciation for one another. Not just their selves and their experience, but to see a unified experience amongst them. No matter what their differences, no matter where they come from, how old they are, what they look like, that there is a common ground between all of us.
Absolutely.
And if we push towards love, if we push towards unity, that we all can win. One of the biggest things in my show is it's never it's about haves and have-nots. For me, in my opinion, it's haves and have-nots, and they use all the isms, racism, gender, sexism, however you identify. They use all these little things to divide us, so they can keep us fighting amongst each other while they take all the power and the money. But if we smarten up, we wise up, and know we actually do have the power when we're unified. A lot of the things that we fight over down here can be redistributed on an even level, and everybody can win.
Absolutely. What do you want people to know aside of Sam Cooke? What do you want people to know about you as an artist?
That I embody kind of the same principles. As far as entrepreneurism, as far as unity, as far as love, as far as my social activism and desire for everybody to find common ground. And that's what I try to, through my spirit, through my messaging, try to push through the audience. And I do feel like they pick up what I'm putting down, by the time, they walk out of there, because from my, standing on the outside looking in at the expressions and at the vibe that they give off when they're leaving, when I do the meet and greets, man, they walk in, they walk out like they on, walking on top of water. And I hope that energy carries into their day-to-day, not just, how you go to church on Sunday and you feel like you can touch the stars on Sunday, and Monday
Wednesday you're cussing somebody out, right?
Right. So I'm hoping they get that Sunday effect and they carry it through, the rest of their year, for that matter.
Absolutely. Well, where can we keep up with all the wonderful, great things you have going on?
You can check me out, Bradd Marquis, everywhere. BraddMarquis. You can find that, it's the website, socials, anywhere you can find music, it's there. Check it out, listen. I got 3.5 albums out. I got 3 albums, an EP, and a new single dropping on January 27th.
Okay, what's the single called?
Blowing in the Wind. It is a remake of Bob Dylan's song, which Sam Cooke covered.
During
at the height of his career, Sam Cooke thought that song spoke, so closely or too closely to the Black experience that he felt like a Black man should have wrote it. So he did the next best thing and he sung it.
What's your favorite Sam Cooke song?
It's a toss-up between Nothing Can Change This Love and Ease My Troubling Mind. Slowly followed by Blowing in the Wind.
I love Great Pretender. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I just got hip to Have Mercy, and that's where it's at. It started, is slowly becoming one of my favorites. I'm gonna have to. That's not in my set, but it may end up being in my set.
You gotta bring it. You gotta bring it to it. Add it to it.
Right.
Well, listen, our thanks goes out to Bradd Marquis for joining us tonight. For more information on him and the music of Sam Cooke, A Change Gonna Come tour, please visit our website, thestevenknightshow.com, and we will be right back after this. I appreciate your time, man.
Man, thank you for tuning in and bringing me on, Mr. Knight. I appreciate you, brother, and keep up the great work.
Absolutely. Continued success to you.
Thank you.